Welcome back to AFTV, welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. Arsenal got a massive win in Seville to put them top of the group, thanks to a Lens draw with PSV as well. Arsenal well and truly taking control of this Champions League group, responding to the defeat in Lens 3 weeks ago, and what a great performance. Away from home, there were questions going into it. Was he going to make some changes? He stuck with a few things, like Rice starting in that box-to-box with Jorginho in there, but Tomiyasu came in, and boy, did Tomiyasu have a massive impact. I'm going to break it down here for you now. It was a really, really good win. Mikel Arteta's given us lots to think about tactically. I love doing this show when there are things that you go, that was different. I haven't seen that before. And actually, then you look back and you go, oh no, Arteta's been plotting. He's been planning. This is all intentional. Let's break it down. Let's start with the match stats. We always start with the match stats, just to remind ourselves of the state of play. We had 14 shots to Sevilla's 11, 4 on target to their 2, 47% possession. But again, a lot of that possession surrendered at times where Arsenal were in control of the game. We also had good spells with the ball. 421 passes for Arsenal to their 536, but overwhelmingly better on the XG front, 2.35 to 0.86. So how did Arsenal do it? How did they take control of this game against Sevilla? Because I really did feel it was only, look, they got the goal, pulled them back in. It was kind of a moment. They had other moments in the game, but generally Arsenal were in control of proceedings. Then they get the goal back and you're like, oh, this is going to get nervy. Now, actually, Arsenal for then 10-15 minutes looked fine. They kind of weathered a storm. There were kind of moments where they hit the crossbar, but there was a handball. Arsenal then had to get into a deep block. We saw Kivior come on. We saw Arsenal, resort to sort of Havertz up top and Nketiah as well to try and get us some legs, some presence, something. But Arsenal really, it was about the back five in the end, sort of coming through. Raya had a moment where he almost punched it in the back of his own net, but otherwise was generally better in this game, I thought, than in the Chelsea game. But a key player was this guy, Tomiyasu. I was so fascinated by the way he played his role, Tomiyasu. He wasn't just inverting. He was getting forward. He was doing a lot. I mean, look, let's just start by showing you two heat maps, Tomiyasu and Declan Rice's, because what you had was one player playing as the box-to-box, getting forward, supporting the attack, and the other, slotting in to play as a playmaker to sort of help him build up. But which one did which? I'll let you help me tell me, because when I'm looking at these heat maps, I'm seeing Tomiyasu get into that left 8 space quite a lot. Yeah, he's occupying the left back area more than most, or more than any other position, because of course he's still a left back off the ball. He's got to do his defensive duties there. By the way, he won every single header that they tried to ping out to Tomiyasu's side. Every time they went for the switch, Tomiyasu just swept up. He was brilliant defensively. But going forward, I found him fascinating. So you look at, okay, he's in that left back area, but he's also in that left 8 more advanced area, and a little bit more so than Declan Rice was. I mean, Declan Rice maybe a touch more central, but also coming into those deeper areas that we're used to seeing as Zinchenko and whoever basically is playing a left back, playing in when they sort of invert. Tomiyasu had a very, very free role, and we can see that in the touches he had in this game. Let's bring them up. Tommy's touches, there we go. Open up here. And again, look at this cluster. Let's put a red box around it. Look at this cluster there of just touches that Tomiyasu had, of course, because we're shooting right to left here. This is the Sevilla goal. Look at the amount of touches he had in this area of the pitch where he was the one that was finding the pockets. Actually, sort of slightly sarcastically, but also kind of meant it. Tomiyasu was finding the pockets better than I've seen any 8 do it for Arsenal this season. He was picking up the pockets where I'd expect Havertz, Vieira, Declan Rice included, although Declan Rice was kind of growing into it in his performance in this game as well. He was getting into these areas and looking really, really dangerous, actually. At times, he looked like he was pressing further forward than most, and Arsenal had the tactical understanding to keep adjusting to the way Tomiyasu was playing, and their players in the pitch that facilitated that and allowed that to happen. I'll elaborate on that in 1 second. Where have we seen Tomiyasu getting forward like this before is what I want to touch on, because if we just go to this, let's get the 11s back up. Let me show you how it kind of looked. So we've got, let's make that faster. Let's put it times 1 speed, there we go. So we've got Arsenal getting into the usual shape, the 3-2-5 really, 3-2-4-1. And often we saw this. Tomiyasu getting into these areas here. And why? Because you've got Declan Rice, who's also, we've seen how often he's been deployed as a 6 this season, dropping into the shape. Jesus as well can drop into here and sort of link up. But I also liked how far forward Jesus was in this game, a lot more than the Chelsea game. I think he addressed that and made sure to play on the last man more. Again, we'll touch on that more in a sec. But the fact that Declan Rice can drop and play in a double pivot build-up with Jorginho allowed Tomiyasu to exploit this space a little bit more. Where have we seen this before? And like I said, you see it and you sort of go, wow, this is new. I mean, this is interesting from Mikel Arteta. No, he's actually done it before. Who remembers this goal? Man City at home. Tomiyasu here in this left 8 position, he makes the run off the ball, a Granit Xhaka-esque run from the Thomas Partey pass, whereas Declan Rice here in a double pivot next to Thomas Partey, obviously Partey playing the Jorginho role that he played against Sevilla, and again, put that on full speed, sorry, there we go. It's Tomiyasu who makes the run, nods it into Havertz, and gives it to Martinelli as Partey and Rice sit. So, a Declan Rice in the team facilitates your ability to do that. Because like I've said, if we just move this along a little bit, let's actually take it to about here. There we go. Oh, sorry, I'm showing the wrong thing. Apologies, let me start that again. Sevilla versus Arsenal. I've shown you the goal. I was too hasty. I want to show you that goal desperately. But like I said, Declan Rice facilitates Tomiyasu being able to do that because he's played as a 6 and can drop into this position and play as one of a double pivot with Jorginho. But there's another thing and another player that I think is giving Tomiyasu the ability to get into this area and get forward and have a little bit more freedom, and that is David Raya. And if we move everyone back into a build-up shape, bear with me. Oh, there we go. We had it. There we go. Gabriel, who would normally be building up a little bit central, can pull left. David Raya can play in that left centre-back area, and now Tomiyasu and Rice have a little bit more freedom to explore this area of the pitch and be a bit deeper, maybe get forward so Rice can come into that pocket. But generally, you've got another man in play, so the Sevilla players are having to, or whoever it might be, are having to think about whether they want to press onto Raya, and you've got a numerical advantage. And David Raya is allowing for that to happen as well. Again, is this a first-time thing? No. Even though we got punished on this goal, we see it again with the Lens game. Raya in that position, so Gabriel could be further wide. Instead of a Zinchenko or a Tomiyasu having to be there, if we just move everyone back and the build-up looks something like that, we've seen that before. Instead, you're able to have Havertz a little bit higher up the pitch, Zinchenko or Tomiyasu coming inside or exploring the freedom of the pitch there, Gabriel wider, and then David Raya there on the ball. Like I said, they punished us for it because we ended up getting it wrong. May as well show it while we got it. And when this ball goes long, they have to recover and get into position. I will say they do a brilliant job, Lens, of taking advantage of that. And you know, it's a fantastic goal and they executed it brilliantly. But really interesting that both Declan Rice and David Raya, though David Raya, there are questions over his performance to understand, the responsibilities they're being given tactically are allowing Tomiyasu to have this more free role. And suddenly that word, the F word that Turkish has been using a lot recently, fluidity. Did you know what I was going for there? Fluidity suddenly back in the team. Why? Because there are different combinations, there are different triangles and players are moving around, and you can see how everyone can pick up different positions and make it very difficult for a Sevilla to know who to track, who to pick up. They did a really, really good job, and Tomiyasu was at the heart of unlocking a bit of fluidity that Arsenal, I think, have lacked for a lot of this season. Now, I also talked about counterattacks. I want to show you this graphic here that, again, we brought up in the Lens tactical insight. The fact that Arsenal, their percentage of goals in the Premier League last season that came from a counter-attack was 4.5%. Only Brighton had a lower sort of percentage. They scored 3 goals from counter-attacking situations. Arsenal scored 4 last season, only Leicester were less. This is from last season's top 10 goal scorers in the league. And the counter-attack has been a problem for Arsenal. It's been something where I don't feel that, I saw it against Chelsea as well, I didn't feel like when under the cosh, under pressure, like we were at Lens, like we were at Stamford Bridge, I didn't feel that Arsenal had shown an ability to go from one end of the pitch to the other and punish you for taking the game to Arsenal. You've got to have that because we're not always facing a deep block, we're facing teams that want to take the game to us as well. And therefore, we need to show an ability to go from one end of the pitch to the other. Now, Martinelli has a big chance to put us 1-0 up. I said on the watch along, the minute he missed this, I said, when he misses a big chance, he has a tendency to then go and get the first goal because he responds from it, he doesn't lose his head. But what I really want to pick out here first and foremost, and I mentioned the counter-attack, is the starting positions of Bukayo Saka and Martinelli. Because Arsenal are building out, right? So we're not necessarily dealing with a severe, sustained spell of possession or whatever. But when that ball comes out from, I think Tomiyasu plays it, over the top to Jesus, what I love is that Martinelli and Saka are starting high up the pitch. So if we do slow it down, when the ball comes over the top to Jesus, darting run. In fact, let's stop it there, take it back a sec, and illustrate it with the arrows. They are ready to attack that space. It's Liverpool-esque. It's what Mane and Salah would do so often to support Firmino. I've been staunchly defending Jesus this week because, people are saying, does he get enough goals? Is he doing enough? Look, when he's holding up the ball the way he has been for this chance and for the Martinelli goal, which we're going to break down in a sec, it's about players like Saka and Martinelli running at the heart of teams and taking advantage of Jesus' brilliant skill set, bringing them in. So then you get this moment. When it comes into Jesus, Ramos has come across, he lets it run a little bit before he takes a touch, rolls it into Martinelli. Martinelli's pace takes him from Ramos. And okay, it's saved. But give it a second go. Have a go again. So what, you got it wrong the first time. Let's look at it here. Where is it? Martinelli goal. This time I'm going to show you, nope, it's the Martinelli goal against City. Martinelli Sevilla goal is what we want. There we go. That's what happens. When Martinelli scores a lot of goals, I end up confusing all the different goals. Anyway, Gabriel clears it and goes to Jesus. But again, Saka is deep here, sure. It's late in the half, and I think Arsenal are trying to get through to half-time, at least not one behind, so I can understand. But Martinelli is recognising that he doesn't have to be all the way back here trying to block crosses or whatever. He's kind of recognised he can pick up a slightly more central space here, and Jesus is on the last two defenders, so at least there's an outball, because Gabriel is about to punt this ball up the pitch. But Jesus and this hold-up play is, and I don't use this word lightly, or maybe I do, but it is world-class. Because he comes in, touch away from the defenders, lovely turn, and again, what did we get from Martinelli? Let's put it back from here. We got, show it in red, darting, run from out to in. It's actually more from there to there, out to in, ready to attack that space. And Jesus, lovely touch into Martinelli. And listen, is Martinelli, does he have elite mentality? I believe he does. He's missed a one-on-one before, but he gets it right the second time. He does something different. He took it first time. In the first occasion, that time he went round the goalkeeper. There's no right or wrong way. It's about executing it. This time he does. Don't give Martinelli a second chance because he will punish you. Brilliant from Martinelli and brilliant from Gabriel Jesus. Brilliant from the team. I love the way that we had a much better counter-attacking presence. We were good on the ball. Fluidity was there. But you're going to have to weather a storm away from home pretty much in any Champions League tie. And when you do, can you do something the other way? Can you have a sucker punch? Arsenal did, and they made Sevilla pay for trying to get a lot of players up the pitch late in that half, and Arsenal end up taking the lead, and it's fantastic from Martinelli and Jesus. But like I said, Tomiyasu's involvement is superb as well. Now, we've given Jesus the praise for what he does in build-up. We've given Tomiyasu the praise for what he offered us in terms of fluidity. I can't leave you all without talking about Declan Rice again. It feels like he gets mentioned in every single tactical insight. Even when he wasn't at his best against Chelsea, what a goal to start the comeback. Declan Rice, we were told by West Ham fans, is world-class. He might well be. The way he is playing, whether it's on the Champions League stage, whether it's for England on the international stage, whether it's against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, whether it's when you need a late-minute goal against your bitter rivals Manchester United, whether it's against treble winners Man City, Declan Rice is stepping up every single time. What more does he have to do to show he is world-class? I mean, maybe deliver this over a season, but he just helped lead West Ham to their first European trophy, their first trophy in God knows how long. I mean, I don't think many people can throw things at Declan Rice that are like, well, you have to prove this before we have that conversation. I'll let you argue it in the comments. Is he world-class? I'm really getting there. But the one thing I'm seeing from Declan Rice, and what I loved about his performance, let's open up the two teams again. Sevilla versus Arsenal. We started to see him. If we move it along to here, we started to see him driving into this space, especially when there were tired legs, the game opened up. He was driving Arsenal up the pitch. And yes, he drops in to help Jorginho at times because obviously Arsenal have to fall into this shape at times. But his ability to drive through the heart of midfield was superb. Fantastic ball carrier, and we've got some of the numbers to support it. Against Sevilla, 62 touches, 37 of his 49 passes were accurate passes. Okay, so he gave the ball away a little bit more. I will say, I think getting into that more box-to-box area, underlapping here at times, sometimes going the other way, getting into these pockets mean you're going to lose the ball a little bit more sometimes, but he completed 3 of his 4 dribbles, won 5 out of 10 ground duels, and won every single aerial duel he contested. Declan Rice was superb. You can all argue it in the comments. Who was man of the match? Tomiyasu, Jesus, Rice. There were some other great performances. I really enjoyed Gabriel. I thought Saliba, very solid with him as well. And generally, Martinelli worked incredibly hard. There was lots to enjoy. Jorginho kept things ticking in the way he does. There's lots to enjoy about this performance. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed the Tactical Insight Show. Hit the like button if you did. Get in the comment section to let me know your thoughts. And I'll be back on Monday with Graham to break down, hopefully, a win against Sheffield United. It's a home game against a team that are struggling this season. But sometimes they can be banana skins, those. You can slip up when you're not expecting it. So full focus. Great win against Sevilla on the back of a draw at Stamford Bridge, a win against Man City. Let's keep going with this momentum. See you in a bit.